Okay, you made it. It's the last of all the series of lectures. Today we're going to, or this one, we're going to go over your final assignment. And we're going to do it pretty quickly, but this will hopefully help you out a little bit to be able to do it. Let's go ahead and go to InDesign. We're going to create a 2-page magazine spread. In fact, we're not really going to create it. What we're going to do is take the information that we need and pull it, create or recreate the magazine spread that we had. So we'll go to File, and we're going to create a new document. This one is going to be tabloid. We're 11 by 17, but instead of being portrait or high, we're going to make it 11 by 17 wide. We'll hit OK. Now, you're going to want to take a break for a moment and go to the blog. So we'll get in the blog, and we're going to go to the ArchSmart blog. This is going to be where you're going to need to get materials for. You're going to go to Course Resources. You'll click here, and then it's going to take you over to 1400 Online. You'll want to make sure that you go in there to the magazine replication assignment. Now this is going to give you all the information that you need. There's a positioning document right here that's going to show you what you need as far as an image. Then there are different books that are available, or not books, I'm sorry, I saw the book there and it threw me off. There are different files here that you're going to need as far as photos. And then here's the instructions. Okay, so you'll want to download those and save them because you're going to need them later. Now, I'm also going to go into Photoshop because I want to show you something that will be significant for you. One of the files you're going to download will be 1400 magazine spread positioning. Okay, this is for position only, but this is going to tell you what you need to do. Okay, so you're going to go in here and you're going to zoom in and get it 100%. I'm going to hit tab. So you'll see you're at 100% here. And then what I would recommend is push Command R to get your rulers. And then you're going to drag over here. This is going to help you with dimensions to be able to solve this. You're going to go to Image, Image Size, and where these three are connected, right there, we're going to change our width on this to 17 inches. So now it's 17 by 10. Now the reason we're going to do this is to help you with your assignment. Okay, and hit OK. You'll see that the actual size hasn't changed at all, but the rulers have changed. What I want to do now is I'm going to zoom up in this area. Oops, I gotta get in close. And I'm going to drag a guideline down. Now this tells me that I have, let's see, here's a quarter, here's a ½ inch to this. This is a 16th, is that right? Yeah, 16th of an inch. We've got a 32nd of an inch between there. So we've got really about 1, 2, 3/8 or 7/16 of an inch right here. So I'm going to take that measurement, and now I'm going to come over here in my InDesign document, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to drag this line down to 7/16. Now here we have 3/8, so here's 7/16. And then I know we've got a 16th of an inch gap, and then an 1/8 of an inch right here. Now the reason I'm going to do that is that gives me now my dimensions. I'm going to zoom out to create a black square right here. I'm going to fill that with black. I can drag that down so that it fits. Okay. Then I'm going to go ahead and to make this easier, I'm just going to copy that, Command C, Command V, and paste it. And I'll move this over here. I bring this up, and I've got to make that about 50% gray, which is about what our color is. I better come over in here and check really fast. Let's see. Get this So yeah, we're roughly at a gray here. That's about right. So I can live with that. Now, this is 1/2 inch in. That's where everything's going to start here, roughly right at 1/2 inch. And so now I need to come here and in design, I'm going to drag a guideline in 1/2 inch. And I know that that's where this is going to have to go. Now, I've got UV index right here. And if I look at that, we're going to try to figure out how high that UV is. And what I'll do is I'll click on this little section right here and drag that and readjust where everything, all of my measurements are. So, or I can do that and measure it from there, or I can say, well, that UV comes to, let's see, here's an 1/8. Is that right? Let's see, 1/2, 1/4, 1/8, 3/16, a little bit over 3/16. So I'm gonna try to be as close as I can. I don't have to be exact, but I'm gonna come in here now, come down here to 8, there's 3/16 right there. Now, I'm gonna get my text box, and I know this says UV, better highlight this so I can see my type. Change that to white really fast. It says UV index, UV space index. Now, the key for me is I want to try to duplicate as much as I can this magazine layout, because that's one of the things that's really important about InDesign is you have to be able to create, you have to be really meticulous with detail in this because you're dealing with printing and measurements and stuff like that, and that's one of the things that this will help you to do, is to keep those measurements accurate. Well, first of all, I've got to change my type, and I think this type is probably going to be avant-garde. So let's scroll up here, ITC avant-garde, and we'll do book. Okay, looks pretty close. This is white, this is red. So let's go window, color, okay, swatches. We also need to get this type to go down to that baseline. I'm going to select the type in here. We did this before. We're going to go Object, Text Frame Options, and we are going to have this rest on the bottom of that text box. So I'll grab this, drag it up. And what that does, see how that gets that to rest right there? Now I'm going to move this down a little bit, and I know that my type needs to grow until it gets to that size. So first I'm going to select that UV, and that looks like it probably needs to be changed instead of book to bold. Okay, and now we'll select all of this, we'll go to our type size, and increase that type size until it comes to the same space. Now as I make that bigger, I can see that my box isn't big enough, so I'm going to enlarge my box a little bit. And it feels like the letters are just a little bit small, a little bit tall as well, so I'll select this all again. I'm going to drop it down 1 point. Okay, good enough. Now this feels a little bit heavy, so instead of being bold, I'm going to make it demi and see if that works. That seems to work a little bit better. Now let's compare the two so we can see. That looks pretty close. I haven't worried about, now we're right at 2 inches here. Let's come over here and double click so that if we double click on this, it will readjust everything. And we're a little bit long on this. Looks like we've got a little bit of a leading issue here, or a kerning issue here, so we can go in to our text and adjust that kerning a little bit. These need to be collapsed maybe just a little bit, that D and that N right there. We're going to adjust our kerning there just a little bit. And also the I and the N, we'll click between there, adjust that. And then finally we'll come here and we will adjust that. increase that whole area there a little smaller. Okay, now it may not be the exact right font, but it's really pretty close, and so we can live with that, and we're good. Okay, so let's go ahead and enlarge this again. We've got that in the right area. Okay, that's how I'm going to put some of my text in. I've got to also measure all of this other text and make sure that that's working out as well. Okay, and I've got these icons. Now you'll see right here all this text. You will have to retype that because I want you to try to adjust the size and the kerning, or adjust the size and the leading, the space between those lines of type. Also in this case, you're going to see that it's aligned right. Okay, so you want to look and make sure that that type is going to be in roughly that amount of space. Make sure it's pretty close. That it's all going to start in the same place. That it's all going to end in the same place, and so on. You're going to have to create this graphic in Illustrator. Okay, so you'll get back to that. You've got to make a red circle, create the little slash, and if you look on your keyboard down above the period, that will give you the one that you want. Okay, now the for position only you don't need to worry about, but you do need to worry about some of these other things. And let's put in a couple of different images here for you to be able to see. Let's find the middle of our page, which is 8.5, right there. Okay, and now we're going to come in and put this cupcake right here. So we'll go ahead, select this, and go to File, Place. I want the cupcake JPEG image. Click here. Now that's the right size. Maybe. We're going to see. We have to look and see. It looks like we're a little bit bigger. So we'll come here. We're going to figure out what our dimension is. Okay. I'm going to zoom in close. Oops, not that close. Zoom in a little bit closer here. And at 8.5, and the picture ends at 5, or about 4 3/4. So we can come here to 8.5, and we'll bring this to 4 3/4. We know that this has got to fit widthwise in that dimension. Push the Command key, select this, and start dragging it. And as I drag it, I'm going to push the Shift key to constrain it. So it will come and it will meet right at that edge. Now, I've got to also select this and bring it down just a little bit, and then go, or I can put it behind there if I want to make sure there's no gap in there. Go Object, Arrange, Send to Back. It's going to drop it back behind that. Okay. Now, I need to get that lip gloss over it. As you'll see that we've got that lip gloss, but we've got a little bit of an edge there. And so I've got to figure out how to make that work. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go File, Place. There's my lip balm. Get that in. Now again, that's a little big, so I'm going to have to size it down. Okay, so I want to see the size that it should be. So I'm going to come in here up close on that. And I come here up close on this. And if 0 is right at this line, where the edge of this picture is, and also I've made 0 to where the top of this is. Okay, so we are about 1/4 of an inch in. 1/4 of it is close enough to 1/4 of an inch, and so we've got to figure out. We'll bring that in here. Let's do this. Let's figure it out a little bit better. I'm going to select this. We are exactly 1/4 of an inch in, and we are 1/2 of an inch from the top of where that image is. So if this image is in the right spot, which we think it is, we want to come, we'll grab these guides, bring it down. We're going to go 1/4 of an inch, or 1/2 inch up, and 1/4 of an inch in. Let's go back to 0. We're going to figure out where the bottom of this is. that is right at, we'll say 3 inches. It's close enough to 3 inches, maybe just a hair under. So we'll say 3 inches. We'll come back to here, zoom out, and we go 3 inches. I'm going to move this so I can see it. Go 3 inches. Okay, now what we need to do is, in this case, we've got to get this to be the right size. So we're going to get this to the same location. We'll drag this up right about there, I believe. So we're right at, or just actually a little bit over. So we need to be about right there. And then we'll go ahead and select this, push our Command key so that it will enlarge it, and Shift so it will constrain it. And that's going to give us roughly the right size. We may need to enlarge it just a little bit more to make that fit. Now, you'll see that on this window, all of this right here we've created a mask with that. So I've got to do the same thing right here. Okay, now what I need to do is get this line and add some anchor points to it so I can make some changes in it. Go ahead and add an anchor point there. Oops, I've got to make sure that that line is selected. There we go. Add an anchor point here. I'm going to add an anchor point here. And so I've got multiple there, an anchor point here. I'm going to add just a couple more. I'm going to add one right here. Then I'll take this and drag this down and in like that. Now I'll take this one, bring it over here, and this, and bring it down here. Now with this, oops, I've got to get in a little closer and make sure it's nice and tight against there. Now with this, I'm just going to push my Option key so I get that Convert tool, just like in Illustrator. I'm going to drag that up until I've got that edge. And now I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to go ahead, select this anchor point, drag it down, like that. I'll come in here, I can add another anchor point here, and one here. I'll select this, drag it down to about right there. This one I'll bring in to here. Now push the Option key, or the Alt key if you're on a PC, and I'm going to drag that until we can get a little better shape as far as that goes. So that'll work like that. And I'm a little bit off, but that's okay. Once I've got this, I've got to go ahead and scale it down so that it fits in there. And that, you'll see, obviously that's going to change. Somehow I messed that up, so I'm sorry about that. And go ahead and grab that line. That's an easy fix to do that. I'll just grab this, drag that down there, and I'll grab, probably create another anchor point right here, and then move that guy right in here like that. There, now that works out a little bit better. There's one area that we need to make sure that we get that we didn't talk about. This, well, two areas. The first will be this circle right here. We can create an image or an area like this. We'll go ahead and get a circle, drag it like that, and then with that selected, go to File, Place. We can place that bead inside of there. Okay, so that box with the X in there will allow us to place images directly inside, and then we can scale that or do whatever we need to get it to be the size we want. So that will allow us that rounded shape that depending on how placement is, you know, if it's going over the top of this, and so that's going to allow us that placement. Okay, so that's one thing that we can do. The other thing that I want to touch base with you on before I let you go is this. You'll notice that we can see through this a little bit. It's a little transparent. So what I'm going to do is show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and place those leather books right here. And I'm not going to worry about scaling them too much right now. I just want to get sort of a general size. Okay? Let's see what we've got here. Oh yeah, those are actually pretty big, so we'll have to scale them up a little bit like that. Okay? Now, to get this shape, I'm going to go ahead and get a rectangle tool. I'm going to drag it over the top of this. Now I'll fill it with white. Okay. And then I'm going to go to Object, Effects, Transparency. And I'm going to drop that transparency. It's just like Illustrator and just like Photoshop. All those. I'm going to drop that transparency down quite a bit. Hit OK and see what it does. That'll drop it. Now I guess I did it maybe a little too much, so I go to Object, Effects, Transparency. I'm going to make it a little bit darker, like that. Okay. Now the next thing is I need to get those round corners. You can see the round corners right there. It's easy to do. On the black arrow, you'll notice you've got a couple of different dots. This is to drag into text. You see this box? This will let us round corners. So I want to click on that. I'm going to double click. Now I'll click and drag, and I can drag it in like this. It'll click and drag to give me those rounded corners. When I've done that, then I'm good, and I've got that shape, and I can put another text box just right over the top of it, like that, and put the text in that I'd like to have go in there. Okay? All right. Now, once you've done that, once you have all of that finished, you're going to need to go in here to File, Export, and I want you to export that in the smallest file size. You're going to go small file size, and then you'll write Name Final Assignment. And you'll give it your name, of course, and save it, and then you're just going to email it